Secrets locked away from us in a vault, never to see the light of day. Things that we will never know from just watching the edited Survivor show put in front of us on television. Deep, dark secrets that will blow your mind and having you wish you could erase them from your brain and just forget them forever. Well, I don't work for CBS, so I can't get those. However, the official DVD and Blu-ray releases of each season of Survivor contain quite a lot of secrets that you would never know about from just watching the edited TV show. And that is what this video will be diving into today, as some of these secrets are game related, some are personal thoughts, some are about Jeff and a contestant having the hots for each other and dating, and some are just plain funny. Thank you for watching what I make and ultimately supporting what I do here with liking, commenting, and sharing. For only a few bucks a month on Patreon, you can pick who I make videos about, watch all of this channel's content early, chat with other fans of the show, and even get exclusive videos every month. Thank you for your support. To be clear, there is so much good stuff locked away in these extra features, especially in the secret scenes or commentaries that reveal strategies, thoughts of what was happening in the game, and why some things took place. It's a lot. To feature every single thing would be far too much for just one video, so I do recommend you watching each of these extras in full for yourself. It's a good time. However, this list contains the secrets that I personally found to be the most interesting. So with that, let's count all 32 of them in absolutely no particular order. Number 1. Have you ever wondered why Chris was spared when he was the last man remaining? Well, Amy reveals that she believes a large part of that had to do with everyone meeting his fiancée Lori and not wanting her to feel responsible for his elimination from the game.
I think Chris did not get voted off because of Lori, for sure. 100% it was because of his fiancé, for me.
Number 2. Originally, Amy didn't even apply for Survivor. In fact, she applied for The Amazing Race with a partner and was set to go on it until her partner dropped out, and then CBS offered her to do Survivor instead.
I applied for Amazing Race, and the woman that I applied with was one of my good friends, and she backed out at the last minute, and they said, well, would you be willing to do Survivor?
Number 3. Do you remember how Chris said in the premiere episode that he liked being on a tribe of all men? Well, as it turns out, before the game even began, he didn't want to be on a tribe of all men. He didn't want the gender split. Instead, he wanted an alliance with a middle-aged woman that no one knew about.
Jeff revealed to us that it was men versus women. That was the last thing I wanted. My initial strategy going into the game Survivor was to make an alliance with a middle-aged woman, keep the alliance below the radar so that no one knows it.
Number 4. Jeff Probst claims that Vanuatu was not originally designed to be men versus women. Apparently, the locals splitting the cast members that way ended up forming the official tribes. Now, I am not sure how much I believe this, since production would likely know what their ceremony was going to entail, but that is what he says.
The men versus women this time was dictated to us by the local tribes, because when they took us through their ceremony, the chief said, we will separate the men versus the women. And the minute he said that, we knew they would start talking. And the minute they start talking, the game's on.
Number 5. Whenever we watch a Survivor challenge, it is hard for us to fathom how many production members are off screen as a part of filming it and making it happen. Apparently, Chris says there are about 300 members of production at a challenge, and that it was very intimidating for him, especially when he was falling off the balance beam over and over at that first challenge.
When the players walk into a challenge, they see the obstacle, they see the 300-person production crew off to the left. That's intimidation in capital letters right there, is walking up on that. And that's what got me. I gave it 110%. I tried to walk across that balance beam 43 times.
Number 6. The bush guide who came and helped the women's tribe live a better life on the island was amazing. We already knew that. What was not amazing for the women was learning that they had been using food as toilet paper that entire time.
Thank God he came, because we were ignorant to everything. We're like using the food we're supposed to eat to wipe our ass.
Number 7. When the earthquake happened in episode 5, we see quite a few reactions, but what we don't see is that Scout was bathing naked in the creek and a camera person was watching the whole time.
I really was scared we were gonna lose Scout, because she was back in the river, naked underneath all these palm trees, and I thought, Coconut's gonna fall on her. I literally thought of running back there, throwing Scout over my shoulder and running out of it so she wouldn't get hit by coconuts. Coconuts kill more people than sharks.
Number 8. On the show, we learned that Rory would leave camp and people wouldn't know where he was. He would just go for hours at a time. And as it turns out, he would leave for 5 to 6 hours at a time with the tribe's machete in hand. And apparently he did this while on Lepevi and on Yasser.
During the game, Rory was a different individual. Rory would grab the machete and take off for 5 or 6 hours. And, that whole time, everyone else in the tribe's kind of sitting around, getting to know each other, forming relationships. And Rory kind of distanced himself quite a bit.
Now, Scout told me that he would take off with a machete and you guys couldn't get anything done.
No, we couldn't find him.
He did that at the guys' tribe too. Look, he's holding the machete here during the interview. He brings it with him.
Number 9. This is a big juicy one. Jeff Probst and Julie Berry dated for 4 years immediately following Vanuatu. In fact, that's not even really a secret. I'm pretty sure almost anyone knows that, but you wouldn't know it from just the show. This DVD was made while they were still dating, and there are a lot of lustful comments made by her and by him while watching the commentaries that shows us a whole different side of Jeff Probst. Here's what Julie had to say.
Hi, this is Julie Berry, and my man is walking up the hill. He looks hot. Okay, can we go back to my man climbing up the mountain, please?
I know, look at
He's
Jeff.
like his cameo. He's so sexy right there. Okay, I just want to say, when it starts raining and Jeff gets wet,
Oh my God.
he looks incredibly sexy.
Can I just tell you that this is what we heard every night?
I love how the first episode's commentary track basically just starts with a Jeff Probst lust session for her, but once Jeff gets in the commentary booth, the roles are reversed as we hear a lot from him about how he has the hots for her.
Scout, I got to give you credit with those. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. This is my first one, so I'm looking at Miss Berry there.
Could you rewind that so we can see that?
Say that profile.
That would be her
again.
bad side.
There ain't a bad side on that girl. Let me tell ya.
But I thought maybe I could somehow persuade you to jump down.
And all I'm thinking of, sooner it's over, the sooner I get to see ya.
Julie.
He was thinking of Julie the whole time.
Wonder what she's doing right
I wonder
now.
what she's doing right now.
Number 10. People call Chris Meatloaf and Chad Spider-Man. This is a weird one. While Chris being called Meatloaf makes sense since he is overweight, I am not sure why Chad is called Spider-Man, but apparently that's his nickname.
Everyone commented on what a body Chad had. I'm like, oh yeah, Superman. It was either Spider-Man, I think is what everyone was calling you.
Chris was meatloaf.
Number 11. Do you remember that awesome opening to this season where the castaways land on the beach and the natives are right in their face trying to scare them? As it turns out, Eliza was taunting them back.
Eliza was taunting them, and I was like,
I wasn't.
You were right next to me, and you were like, what? Come on,
Eliza
bring
was
it on.
totally taunting me.
I was
You
not.
totally were taunting.
I was just smiling.
I remember
So
distinctly
disrespectful.
feeling.
Look at her right there. She's like, bring it on, bring it on.
I was
You
not.
said bring it on. I felt uncomfortable. I was right next to you.
Number 12. Have you ever wondered why we barely saw any Julie Berry in the premiere episode? It turns out that she was super sick and was vomiting a ton, and Twyla thought she was just faking being sick the whole time for some reason.
I just like to say I'm not in the group
okay.
because I'm vomiting.
Oh my God, you were
No one knows.
Oh my! Right before this challenge,
I vomited.
Julie
Right
was puking her brains out. We were like looking at the challenge, and she pukes
And
all
then
over.
yeah, twice before
I know.
we ran it.
Do you remember that?
Well, I
But
thought she was
still.
faking it. I
You
thought Julie
did.
faking
Wait,
it.
are you kidding me? The girl is laying there puking, can't
I
even
never
move.
seen her puke.
Couldn't even move to go puke.
You
She
never
just
saw me
puked right
puke?
in
I
front
never
of
seen you
herself.
puke.
Number 13. Before ever getting a flint or a fire, the men knew they needed water, clean water preferably. We didn't see this on the show, but the men made themselves a homemade water filter out of charcoal and sand. Was it effective? That question doesn't really get answered, unfortunately.
We made a rudimentary filter with charcoal and sand that wasn't shown, and we were able to drink a little bit. We were taking chances by drinking. We didn't know.
Number 14. This one isn't really a secret as much as it is just a fun joke to notice, but during the commentaries, Twyla refers to herself in the third person for some reason multiple times, and also she is a hoot to listen to.
Look at that. Twyla's licking her face. Chris is licking his
Better
chops.
that was it.
Oh no, this thing?
Yes, they totally just
Look at
caught
Twyla's
you.
fat ass up on top of Sarge's shoulders.
Number 15. In episode 7, we saw Rory talk to Amy about keeping him over Eliza and getting mad when she said no. We even saw him cuss a little bit in what seemed to be a secretive conversation between him, Amy, and Leanne. As it turns out, the conversation was not as secret as he wanted it to be, and he was cussing way more than what we were shown.
Can I tell you, Rory took Leanne and I into the forest
I could
right
hear
here,
them, mind you.
and he is saying how worthless Eliza is and how
He's
can
like-
we possibly want her around. And then he started MFing us. Like, I can't believe you MFs aren't going to keep me around.
know,
You
and I
damn
could hear
MFs.
him.
Not like
He said
cussing
that
us
right
out.
there.
Cussing us out right here.
And he was like, Eliza's stupid 21-year-old.
Oh.
Number 16. In episode 7, when Yasser got to go to the home cafe for coffee and letters from home, they also tried to steal some items to take back to the camp and were completely busted.
Stole the pillow.
pillow from the home cafe. We took the pillows. We smuggled them out
under the coffee maker that we got to carry home.
We got busted.
Yeah, we got busted.
Did you really?
Totally.
Yeah, you can't get away with much.
Number 17. Do you also remember when Rory dominated the slingshot challenge to almost single-handedly win Yasser immunity and save his neck? Well, that challenge was not over as quick as we thought. In fact, it surprisingly took a few hours to complete.
It was hot out there that
Scout
day.
was pretty good at this
That
too.
challenge
Yeah,
took what?
Scout was.
It was hours we were out there.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
hot.
And it was
a hot
so
one.
hot.
Hot, sweating. I got burnt bad that
No
day.
water.
Number 18. Amy seemed like the mastermind of the Women's Alliance, and Eliza was constantly fighting for dear life in the game. While pretty much accurate, it turns out that Amy learned a lot about the game from Eliza in terms of what to expect and how things would play out if certain things took place, meaning moves. As she claims, Eliza was always 6 steps ahead.
Except for throne immunity challenges earlier, voted the two of them off, and that would have forced us to keep Rory and Bubba, who would have gone back to you.
Everyone, I want you to know that her thinking right here, how Eliza's thinking, this is what kept me tuned into the game the entire time. I would listen to what was going on and then make like my own scenario in my head, but this one was always 6 steps ahead of the game. Eliza was.
Number 19. On the car reward challenge, we all recall how it was neck and neck between Chris and Julie to see who would go on the overnight reward. From what we saw on television, it looked like they had a 10-second chat at the buoys before diving down, but as it turns out, it was much longer than that.
We talked for 3 or 4 minutes.
I said you
right
were
there.
catching your breath. We weren't fooled by that. You neither want to breathe.
Number 20. Back in the premiere episode, the locals put a rock on top of a grease pole and the men had to have someone climb up and retrieve it. Production let the locals pick anyone they wanted to complete the task, and it turns out that they were secretly hoping that they would pick someone who would fail and not Brady, who they knew was definitely going to do it.
I'll tell you something on this pole challenge. We did not want Brady to go first.
I know.
We thought for sure he was going to, of the odds of him picking somebody that wouldn't make it up were good, and he goes to the guy who's going to scale
The
it.
FBI agent who could scale the side of a building, yeah.
Number 21. After Survivor Vanuatu was over, Lisa Kiefer made Survivor Soaps. This one's a hard one to imagine, but based on what's being said here, it sounds like she's making soaps based on Survivor players, including one for Chris, which Jeff is not a big fan of.
That was
Lisa,
yeah.
who's now making Survivor Soaps.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
I'd like to smell myself.
Well, Julie gave me the choice to lather up with any of the different ones, and I'm looking at Chris as going, no.
Number 22. At the Final Four Vertical Maze Challenge, Scout knew she did not have any shot of winning, but she did want Eliza to be voted out next, so Scout purposefully would get in Eliza's way to slow her down.
On this one right here, I tried to block Liza. It didn't matter. I knew I wasn't going to win it, but I
There
tried
was-
to get in Liza's way.
Jeff,
was
you remember how
actually-
swollen my
I
foot
got
was
out of
when
your
I did
way.
that?
I got out of Twyla's way, and I tried to get in her way.
I told
She would tell me, I'm going to get in Eliza's way. She would be crawling down. I'm going to get in Eliza's way.
Number 23. If you have ever wondered whether Chris could have beaten Julie in a final 2, then this should clear that up real quick.
But Julie was a schmoozer.
So Julie would have won against Chris?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Most
absolutely.
definitely.
Yes,
Julie
Julie
would have
would've won against
most
Chris.
definitely won against
Absolutely.
Chris.
Absolutely.
Most definitely.
Number 24. Now, I am not sure at which tribal this happened, but apparently Jeff put on a song/dance/skit thing. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but apparently Amy sang along with him. Why was this not put in the episode?
Jeff, the dance you did out there. Well, totally. Remember the dance he did that night? Yeah.
I always think of Amy because I think she was singing along with that. And
The boy was in love.
I
He
think
was
so.
in love.
What's funny is I've never sang at tribal council before or since. It's not like it's a regular part of my routine.
Number 25. Sometimes we as an audience wonder how Jeff would do on Survivor if he were given a shot and no one knew who he was. Well, actually, Jeff divulges exactly what he thinks he would do in regards to this.
I would not do well in this game.
Well, I mean, from what
I
aspect
don't
of the
know.
game do you not think you would do well?
How you keep your patience and not let people drive you nuts. Because I'm looking at all four of you guys still are bringing up old things that are pushing buttons, but you're living with these people all day, every day, and you need them.
Number 26. Who has not watched Survivor and thought, they're cutting out a ton of good stuff we didn't see, can we get longer episodes? According to Jeff, the first cut of most episodes runs about 90 minutes long, and he says that is them cutting it down to only the good stuff. From there, they have to cut episodes to 42-ish minutes for just a normal episode. Could we get these super long episodes as extra, please? I would pay good money.
There's so much, the first cuts of an episode might be, if we really did everything that was good would be 90 minutes.
Number 27. Rumors have been spread about certain players seemingly amping up their energy and acting a bit different when the camera is around them. On this season, that player was surprisingly Rory.
Rory was interesting because anytime the camera came near him, he just got really loud.
He was at Cocoa
theatrical.
Beach with us.
I mean, it was just like that.
Number 28. At the final 3, Twyla and Scout seem like an obvious pair that would take each other to Final Tribal if they win immunity. However, this is denied by Twyla and Scout in the actual final episode, but in the commentary, the truth comes to light.
And you would have taken Chris.
No. I probably wouldn't have. I would have probably took Scout knowing that she'd made Amy and Leanne and then mad.
Number 29. Going into Final Tribal, you will hear mixed things about whether jurors are actually locked in on who they're going to vote for, or whether that last tribal can have any real effect on whether the votes are going to be changed. And it turns out it definitely made changes in Vanuatu, namely for Scout.
When I went to the tribal council, I was going to cast my vote for you because I felt like you had played a great
Who are
game.
you talking to, Chris?
Chris. But then we got to tribal and when all that came out about the people that you had lied to and the upset, that's what turned my vote, Chris. It turned in tribal.
Number 30. I think this next one may be opening a can of worms, and I want to clarify that this was made back in 2005/2006, somewhere in that time frame, so Jeff's thoughts may have changed, especially with what he said at the Heroes vs. Villains reunion. But here, Jeff says the game is flawed. Now, he doesn't use that exact words, I know who I'm quoting, but basically he does say the game is flawed and that day 39 is too soon for the final vote. However, Scout thinks it is perfect just the way it is. She gets it. Jeff doesn't really get it and says sometimes the person who wins doesn't really deserve to be the winner, and it makes me wonder if he is referencing winners like Amber or possibly Danny, given the time frame that this would have been recorded in.
I think one of the problems with the structure of this show is that day 39 is maybe too soon to do the final vote, because there's so much animosity and emotions where often people are voting against somebody. They're not really voting for the winner. They're just voting for you to lose.
I think it's perfect the way they vote because you have to calculate how the jury's going to feel about you all along.
Sometimes the people who win don't deserve to win. It's the person sitting next to them that everybody didn't like. And so by default, and we've had a couple of those winners that won $1 million by default.
Right.
That doesn't mean they don't deserve it. I'm just saying in looking at this game, that's the one part I wish you could tweak is finding a way to vote for the person who most deserved it.
Number 31. On the show, it always seems like when it's time to count the votes, Jeff just grabs the urns with the votes in it and basically reads them right away. It turns out that actually there is a long period in between, and while getting the voting urn, decisions are being made about what to say to the castaways, and the votes are rearranged to be dramatic, though I think most of us could have guessed that the votes are rearranged.
So Jeff, when you go back to count the votes, I mean, are you drinking a drink, smoking a cigarette?
Really? That took forever. What is
watching
up
an
with
episode
that?
of Becker before you come out?
Really what we're doing is deciding what I'm going to say based on what tribal council was about.
I've looked at the votes and rearranged them so it's
you
a
got to put the
surprise.
votes in a dramatic order.
Number 32. Lastly, that epic travel path Jeff made to bring the votes to America this season included him skydiving out of a plane, and it is a bit surprising how much work just went into that one small part alone.
But I got to go skydive.
I love that.
No, is that cool?
That was fun.
Is that the first time you did it?
Hey, you remember the
took
deal?
a week of training.
So which secret blew your mind the most? Comment below and let me know. Thanks for watching, and if you like the content you see here, then please consider supporting me on this channel on Patreon. Your financial support makes this channel possible. So thank you, and thank you for watching.